Welcome to the podcast of the Urban Christian Institute. I'm your host, M.J. Jackson, and we're about to get into it big time today. It's been a minute. I haven't talked to you guys since February, but I'm back. I'm alive. Praise God. And we're going to be talking about Dr. Ben today. Dr. Yosef Alfredo Antonio Ben Yakonen or Jokanen, whichever one. And, Dr. Ben is beloved by our compadres in the conscious community. And, he's kind of been, resurfacing as of late. And I would attribute it, his resurfacing as well as some of the other ancestors resurfacing to the debate that Dr. Vince Bantu had with Brother Jabari. And I think that debate sent ripple effects throughout the conscious community. And, I don't even think that we would be seeing the debate between Garfield and Jabari if it wasn't for that debate. And, I'm going to just say it, the trip to the woodshed that happened, not only during the debate, but also even during the question and answer period, even, hint, hint, wink, wink, Adam Coleman, when he brought the shade with that last question, that was the dagger or the straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak. But, even in my own personal conversations, just doing apologetics on a personal level in personal encounters, some of the people that I talk to, I talk to a lot of folks at work, but it's like the next day you'll see them over there self-medicating after having their world shook with the compelling evidence for Christianity, the compelling arguments, just the whole weight of history being on them, that they run back to the safe arms of John Henrik Clarke, Dr. Ben, John G. Jackson, these types of guys. But, what I'm getting ready to do would be perceived as poisoning the well, but you need to know who you're dealing with. And, it's no secret that, Dr. Ben, he just died. And I'm sorry to hear that. He died like 4 years ago, March 19th, 2015. He almost made it to be 100. He's been around for a very long time. And I would say that what these guys tried to do, him, John Henrik Clarke, a lot of the other Afrocentric writers, I understand what they tried to do. I think they went about it the wrong way in doing it. And furthermore, every time they were challenged, especially Dr. Ben, every time he was challenged, even, by Mary Lefkowitz, he pulled the race card. He played the race card. Like, seriously, he did. She challenged him on some information, and he was clearly contradicted in the information. It's in her book, and he said, "You're a racist." And, when I started reading into these guys' books, how I was taught scholarship is you're able to defend your views with the best that the other side have to offer. And if you have the truth, you need not be ashamed or afraid to defend your views or anything like that. Furthermore, I would have to say, even with his early life and education, that if white people are so bad and they're so nasty, it seems that he sure put a lot of their institutions down on his job applications, so to speak. And we just had, a lot of these places like Cambridge and Barcelona and the University of Havana said, nope, he never even sat in a desk at this university or this institution. And so it just seems like, he has documents from Cornell showing that he, had a doctorate degree from Cambridge, and the university in Cambridge saying he never attended here. Now, for a decent analogy, we could talk about Dr. Umar Johnson, but to my knowledge, the schools have verified that Dr. Umar Johnson is actually a doctor and had all his degrees. So, you know, what do we do with Dr. Ben? Is he a liar? Would he lie like this or what? So, would he lie about his credentials? So, yeah, I mean, that's the type of information that's out there, and I don't think that it's very empowering. I think that it's modern day enslavement to these personalities, and we can see, we see Jabari struggling struggling with these personalities, struggling, with his admiration for these guys and what they sought to do versus the truth, the truth of reality and things like that. So, yeah, I just wanted to play a few clips because good old Dr. Ben, good old Dr. Ben, he postures himself. These guys postures themselves as historians and things like that. But in some of this, good old Dr. Ben is teaching epistemology. And we know that epistemology is that branch of philosophy that deals with how do we know what we know. And, Dr. Ben is mixing it up in the realm of epistemology. So let's listen in. And I'm going to try to go in order. And I'm going to make a few comments. But let's get it on.
One of the problems is that we have gone from the religious basis of religion, not even the theosophical basis of religion we maintain. Most of us treat religion as if it's a definite thing.
So what a lot of these guys sought to do was try to build unity around blackness or being African. And one of the things that, a guy like Dr. John Henry Clark and Dr. Ben would try to do is to relativize, religion and teach the cultural relativity of religion. And so, he's simply pointing out that he's simply preparing his audience to receive what he's getting ready to say in regards to that, religion can, in his opinion, is not a definite, certain thing. I think he's getting that certainty in that he's trying to relativize religion in a certain sense. But let's listen on.
Say Adam and Eve. We think that there was a fellow named Adam and there was a woman named Eve. Literally. We don't understand that it's a theory of a group of Hebrews writers who were not there.
So, he, at this point, Adam and Eve, it's just like nobody, you don't deal with Buddhism or Hinduism or anything like that. It's always the God of the Bible that these guys attack. And so he's attacking the Adam and Eve story. Now, I'm pretty sure that Dr. Ben does not think that human beings came. I've had a brother tell me that we came from extraterrestrials. So people will believe anything to avoid God. And we know that it's in 2 Thessalonians, it's in Romans 1. We know that people will believe lies to avoid God. We just know it. And I've literally had a dude tell me we came from extraterrestrials. I wouldn't put it past Dr. Ben, but I'm pretty sure he knows how he got here. Man and a woman. They didn't spit you out, but I'm pretty sure he knows how he got here. So I just find statements like this disingenuous. Furthermore, he's talking about a theory of Jewish writers. And that theory that I believe, and he's made certain arguments that the book of Genesis was written at the Council of Jamnia, and that would contradict what he's saying right here, because I think that he's alluding to the JEPD theory, which postulates that it's a theory, which postulates that certain parts of the Bible were written at different times. So they would look at Genesis 1 using the word Elohim for God, and Genesis 2 using Yahweh or Yahweh God, or Yahweh Elohim and it was, there must have been, there's two different writers. Well, how about whenever God is dealing personally with humans, or covenantal language, most likely you're going to see Yahweh right there when he's dealing personally or in covenant or things like that. So, I mean, the JEPD theory is shallow as far as I'm concerned. It doesn't really go deep enough. But furthermore, it's a theory, and it still does deal with the fact that the universe is not eternal, that human beings have not been here forever, and that they had a beginning, and that we all didn't arrive at the same time. But let's keep listening.
With Adam and Eve, I know you're going to question me, but then if Adam is the first man, nobody's there with Adam. If Eve is the first woman and the second person, it's only two of them. There's no recorder. Nobody there is taking down the record. There is no history or record showing that either of these people had a language they could read and write. Obviously, they must have started Gu Ga Ba, or the child. She might have said Adam, and he must have said Eve, and somebody might have said Steve, and who knows?
Okay, and all that sounds really funny until you start pressing people on that. Okay, and then you can press them by presenting positive arguments, which also serve a dual function as undercutting the very nonsense that's coming out this man's mouth. And it's nonsensical to think that it's nonsensical to think that the universe could just pop into existence without a cause. Some people believe that, and I would say that takes some radical faith to believe that there was no causal agent behind the universe. And furthermore, we look at the complexity of the human body, the complexity of the cells, what information theory would have us believe about cells and things like that, and all of the design that it took for life to arise in the first place, and some scoff at the idea that God could create a fully grown man capable of rational communication and communion, also with a woman who can. And it was only two of them. That statement, it was only two of them. So you presupposing that God does not exist. Wow. But seems like he's stating this as definite facts. So I would just ask this brother, how do you know? And when you speak to people like this, I mean, he's even in people on the street, if they're going to be if they're going to make claims like this, you have to press them on these issues and just ask them, you mind telling me how you know all this and things like that? And they'll present their reasons, I guess. But let's go on to the next and see what he has to say.
Either that God or the deity is a concept. Nobody been there and see a God doing anything. It is the belief of man. Nothing wrong with it. Go ahead and believe it. But what I'm interested in is that we understand the difference between belief and knowledge. I know that I'm standing here. I'm not going to argue the question with you. I know this. I don't believe I'm standing here. I know.
All right. So, and this is where I say that Dr. Ben is touching on a area of philosophy dealing with epistemology, and he is separating belief from knowledge. Now, if I don't think that you have to take a philosophy class to get this or anything like that, but if you are fortunate enough to take a philosophy class dealing with epistemology, you will know for a fact that you cannot separate. There's two things that you cannot separate from knowledge. You cannot separate truth, and you're gonna see him kind of do something weird real quick. And you cannot separate belief. It is absurd to say that you know something and not believe it, and that's just weird because knowledge presupposes two things: truth and belief. So you cannot know. Now, belief is not sufficient for knowledge. Belief must have truth also in order to be considered knowledge. So you cannot separate belief from knowledge. Let's just listen a little bit further, and then I'm gonna get into a few things that I want to share regarding what he's doing, and we'll try to correct this. We'll try to correct Dr. Ben's blunders. Okay, so we'll do that. And some people might take issue with me even saying it, but if you're wrong, you're wrong. You know, that's not a problem in Christianity. We don't have something prohibiting us from seeking truth, even if that truth comes at the expense of somebody who taught something, and we might even hold this person dear, but I mean, they don't hold such a place within our epistemology that we cannot recognize that it was false, and we can go on and learn something new. That might be a problem for the epistemology of some in the conscious community, but that's not a problem for Christians. So we're open to learning. So let's keep going.
I believe somebody is standing outside behind this wall named Jane with a red coat on. I believe so. I'm not going to bet on it. I won't bet a penny because I don't have the fact. I believe so. I believe that when I die, I'm going to resurrect. I'm not going to bet. I could bet you. I bet you $1 million now to $1. Because if I die, you're not going to collect before you. And if you die, I'm not going to collect. So if both of us die at the same time, I can't neither go collect. Because I haven't seen anyone die, get up and come back and say how it was on the other side. That's your belief. You may die and find out that God is a woman from Puerto Rico drinking green whiskey. Now you're in trouble. You're in a lot of trouble. Now, if we could only understand then that whatever you believe is just that, a belief.
All right. And once again, this begs the question of what does it mean to have knowledge? It really begs that question, and it's a question that that we need to explore. And let's just take a look real quick. So, what is knowledge? I'm going to give you about 3 sentences, and we'll go from there, and we'll proceed off of these 3 sentences real quick. So, the following 3 sentences revealed 3 types of knowledge. I know that my computer is in front of me. I know how to play basketball. I'm okay at it. I know that Barack Obama was president. So, my first sentence expresses a knowledge by acquaintance. And here I know something that the object of knowledge is directly present to my consciousness. Okay, so I know that this computer is in front of me, in that I see the computer and I'm directly aware of it, and I know it by sensory intuition. Okay, intuition does not mean a guess or a rational hunt, but rather a direct awareness of something that is directly present to my consciousness. So that's one. We can see certain realities in math, like 2.2 equals 4, and So, that functions in much of the same way. We can simply see that 2 plus 2 equals 4. Okay, sentence number 2 uh, expresses what's called know-how. So I learned how to play basketball. I learned how to type. I learned how to put gas in the car, how to pay my bills, fix the car, things like that. Okay, so that's sentence number 2. And sentence number 3 is the tricky one. Okay, it expresses what philosophers and philosopher by the name of Bertrand Russell expressed as knowledge by description, or what is more typically called by philosophers propositional knowledge. So we can just point out that ever since the time of Plato, philosophers have tried to offer an adequate definition of propositional knowledge, and we'll just call it knowledge after we clear this up. In his dialogue with Theaetetus, Plato offered what is known as the standard definition of propositional knowledge, or knowledge. The standard way of stating this definition is to say that knowledge is justified, true belief, sometimes called the tripartite analysis, or JTB. So when you think of knowledge, put an equal sign, JTB, justified true belief. Okay, and let's take a look at this further. So if someone knows something, then what he knows must be true, because you can't have knowledge without it being true. Okay, remember what I said, that in order to have knowledge, you have to believe it, but for a belief also to for knowledge presupposes a belief, but it also presupposes truth. Okay, like I said, so if someone knows something, what he knows must be true. It would make no sense to say that I know that pizza is in the refrigerator. I shouldn't be eating pizza, but I know that pizza is in the refrigerator, but that nevertheless is false that the pizza is in there. So a necessary condition of knowledge is what is that what is known is true. But truth is not sufficient for knowledge. There are many truths that no one has ever thought of, much less known, and there are some truths that someone may think about but not know. Okay, so besides truth, the second part of knowledge is belief. If Jones knows something in the propositional sense, okay, he must at least believe it. It would make no sense to say that Jones knows that pizza is in the refrigerator, but that nevertheless he does not believe that pizza is in the refrigerator. So belief is a necessary condition for knowledge, but mere belief is not sufficient for knowledge. So knowledge is going to need at least two things: truth, because what is known is true, and it's going to need belief, because you have to believe what you know. So people believe many things that they do not know to be truth. True belief is a necessary condition for knowledge, but is true belief sufficient for knowledge? No. And here's where we get to the J. So once again, remember I said justified true belief equals knowledge. So no, it is not. The reason that someone can believe things that are true but have no justification or warrant at all for those beliefs. Okay, here it is. It may be that one person's belief is true by simple accident. So you heard Dr. Ben say, I believe that there is a man behind this curtain with a red jacket on. And lo and behold, we go back there and there's a man behind the curtain with a red jacket on. Or somebody go verify that. I mean, it was an accident. That was a guess. Okay. Suppose another example that he says that, following thought pops up into his head, that he believes that it is, it's below 30 in Texas. Suppose further that he believes this thought, and further as a matter of sheer coincidence, it's actually 30 degrees below zero in Texas. That's kind of weird though, right? I'm just throwing some crazy examples out there. then the person would have, he would have a true belief, but, Dr. Ben wouldn't have knowledge of the, proposition in question. Or check this out. Suppose Dr. Ben said this. He'll believe the first piece of writing on the papers that he's presenting or that's handed to him on the program for the night. And the first thing that he sees is a sentence that says that it is snowing in Texas right now. Again, even if the sentence were true, Dr. Ben would not have knowledge of this proposition. Okay, so what's missing here? What's missing is that good old J, justification. And, we can say justification or warrant, but we'll just say justification. Okay, what's missing is justification for the belief in question. Okay, so when we talk about justification, okay, we're talking about how this belief was formed and if it was formed in a reliable manner. Okay, so just remember this. We can simply just say that justification for a belief amounts to something having sufficient evidence for a belief, one formed and maintained this belief in a reliable way on the basis of his senses or expert testimony, and not by palm reading or smoking weed or Ouija boards and stuff like that. So we want to say that one's intellectual and sensory faculties were functioning properly in a good intellectual environment when the belief was formed, and that is what confers justification. So you have to believe it. It has to be true, and it has to be formed in a reliable way in order to have justification. So we can see that Dr. Ben is really presenting a very simplistic, a simplistic rendition of the difference between mere belief and knowledge, and it really does not do justice to the subject. And even today, I was just surfing on and I shared this website with Adam Coleman, but I was just surfing on an atheist website, and it was talking about how you shouldn't believe things without proper evidence and things like that, and that there is no evidence for Christianity, and it's just belief, and not knowledge. And so, we see this false dichotomy perpetuated even on secularist websites, where folks don't even understand that the scientific enterprise is built on certain assumptions, that the world is knowable, that the universe is knowable, and and it's presupposing certain, the laws of logic, the laws of causality, the laws of identity, non-contradiction, and things like that. And these assumptions are these assumptions are not based off of evidence. They're not. They are assumed beforehand, and we proceed from there. That with the principle of induction and things like that. So, what about our beliefs in other minds? Our beliefs in the external world? That the world wasn't created 5 minutes ago. Things like that. So, the error that I'm seeing is people tend to put belief in God in the wrong family of beliefs to begin with. And, much more could be said about this. I had one more clip, but I didn't want to keep it too long. He's getting ready to say something really weird about Africa and how, it was just spirituality and no religion. And we have quotes from Herodotus that the Egyptians or the Cometics were extremely. Here's the thing. They love Herodotus because Herodotus also talk about the fact that the Egyptians were dark-skinned. So, and they will take that as gospel truth because it serves a narrative, and I don't take any issue with that. But Herodotus also points out that the Egyptians were extremely religious, And so I'm not going to play what Dr. Ben said about, nobody was getting paid and things like that. And how, religion has been corrupted. He keep talking about theosophical society and theosophy. I'm like, there's a difference between theology and theosophy, for one. And yeah, we can explore it a little bit later. But, that's it for now. But, you see this clear romanticizing of Africa, and let's just do history. Let's do history. Let's do proper epistemology. And if we have any errors or blind spots, hopefully we can get those corrected. But till next time, I will holler at you good people later. Peace.